Nityananda, Nityananda, Nityananda.
Thank you very much, Madhavendra, for the introduction. And we thank you all very much for coming. Always a pleasure to see a room full of interested people. Out of curiosity, we had a free yoga day on Saturday, and I know one lady told me she was there. Just who came to that free yoga day? Oh, great. Well, thank you for coming back again. Always a good sign. So we're going to discuss in some detail our subject of reincarnation, which will include also some discussion on karma. And we're going to begin with some meditation. There's many different yoga systems. And all the yoga systems, their main activity is meditation. There's different kinds of meditation. Tonight we're going to do mantra meditation. And if you came on Saturday, you've already experienced this. And there's reasons to start a program with meditation. Number one, we've probably been quite busy today, So we need to relax, settle down, become a little quiet. Not only externally, but internally. And number two, by doing this meditation, it will help us to understand our subject matter a little more easily, a little more clearly. And then finally, you get to learn this meditation, and you can take it home with you. So, the meditation that we'll do, as I described, is mantra meditation. Mantras are transcendental sounds. Transcendental means beyond the material dimension. There's two categories of sound. Material sound, which we are surrounded by from birth till death. And then there is a special category of sound known as transcendental sound, which also could be described as spiritual sound. See? Material sound, spiritual sound. In this world, the sound is material. In the spiritual world, the sound is spiritual. So the mantras are transcendental sound. They descend from the spiritual realm into this material realm. And because they come from the spiritual realm, they bring with them great spiritual power. And because this power is present, when I come in contact with this sound vibration, automatically I will receive great spiritual benefit. So it's the most simple and easy type of meditation, but at the same time the most potent. Everyone received a little card like this. If you did not, please raise your hand. We will provide you with a card. Now, there's mantras on both sides of the card. But now we're going to use the mantras on the side of the card with the lotus flower. And the mantra we'll be using is at the top of the card. This is the mantra Gauranga. There is a two-word mantra here, Gauranga Nitai Gaur, but now we're going to use the first part. And for this meditation, we will divide Gauranga into 4 syllables. Gauranga. Just to make sure we have our pronunciation correct, let's all practice saying that. First, I will say the mantra, and then everyone can respond. Everybody ready? All right. Here we go. Gauranga. Gauranga. All right, very good. You see how easy? Now, our technique is equally as easy. It is a breathing technique. Sometimes we refer to this meditation as Gauranga breathing. And we begin by breathing in through our nose, very slowly and gently, but very deeply. We want to take the air all the way down to our lower abdomen. As we inhale in this way, silently in our mind, we will chant our mantra, Gauranga. Then, when our body is filled with air, we will begin to exhale. And on the outgoing breath, out loud, we will chant, Go, Ra, Ang, Ga. And we will repeat this several times. Before we begin, we want to relax. Actually, relaxation is very important in our lives. But unfortunately, we almost never do it. We might say, gee, I don't have time to relax. Or, I don't know how to relax. If we do decide to relax, many times we use alcohol, drugs, something like this. Not good. You see? So, we're going to relax by taking a big breath and letting it out. With that outgoing breath goes our tension, anxiety, frustration, whatever may be there. As we relax, there's different parts of the body that hold tension more than others. One is the face. We carry so much tension in our face. So we want to relax the face, especially around the eyes and the forehead. Another area is the neck. We even get tension headaches from our tense, unrelaxed neck. So relax the neck. Same with the shoulders, the chest, etc. Okay. Then, while we do our meditation, we want to listen closely to the sound and put our mind on the sound. If the mind drifts away, bring it back to the sound. Meditate on the sound. You see, this is the whole concept. Transcendental sound, completely spiritual. We meditate or focus on that, and that brings us into that spiritual realm. All right. Let me give you a little demonstration so you can see exactly how it works. First, I'm going to take that big breath and relax. Now, very slowly and gently, I inhale and chant Gauranga in my mind. So it's just that easy. So let's all do that now. It's good to sit erect. This helps us to breathe. Feet flat on the floor is the best. Now remember to continuously throughout the meditation relax and meditate on the sound. When we finish, sit quietly for a couple of moments just to feel the effect. So all you have to do now is follow my guidance. So everybody take a big breath, let it out, and relax. Now very slowly, gently and deeply inhale and chant Gauranga in the mind. Gora Two more times. Sit quietly. Haribol. So you can see this is a very easy meditation to do. And maybe you also found it quite relaxing. It's an interesting and a perfect way to start your day. When you wake up in the morning, first 5, 10, 15 minutes or more, you can do your meditation. Also an excellent way to end the day. We're busy all day, we come home, we're tired, frustrated, maybe even a little angry. Just forget all that. Sit down, relax, do your meditation, and go to sleep. But of course you can do it anytime. So, take your cards home with you, and you can practice on your own. All right, our subject tonight is reincarnation. Before I begin, I would like to offer my respects to our great spiritual teachers, our masters, who brought this knowledge to us. All the information that I'll present comes from the Vedic scriptures. The Vedas are very ancient scriptures. They were written down 5,000 years ago. However, the knowledge itself is eternal. So, prior to being written down, it was passed down orally from one perfect master to the next. And such a line of perfect masters is known as a disciplic succession or a parampara. A parampara is necessary for the truth to descend in its pure form. We are in the parampara known as the Brahma Sampradaya. And we feel very fortunate to receive our knowledge through this lineage. So having said this, this is not my opinion. I'm just passing on this eternal science. Now, there's an interesting thing. Back in the 1980s in America, they took a survey. And then they discovered that 23% of the population accepted reincarnation. Recently, they took another survey. And now they find that 60% of the population accepts reincarnation. So there's been a very large increase in receptivity. There's been many lectures given on the subject, books written on the subject, people declaring their last lives, what they were, who they were, where they were, videos made, and so on like this. But even so, very few people understand reincarnation. So that's going to be our focus tonight, to understand reincarnation. So this is a more educational presentation than it is sensational. I think a lot of people come to reincarnation lectures with some expectations. Gee, maybe he'll reincarnate on stage. I don't think so. In other words, it's not planned. But you never know. You see. So we must begin in the beginning. You see, we could ask the question, okay, reincarnation. Who is reincarnating? And one could say, well, we are, or I am, etc. True enough. But then the question is, who are we? Who am I? The Vedas say we should all ask ourselves this question, who am I? But unfortunately, almost never do we ask that question because we think we already know the answer. And certainly we all have our identities. We've had them our whole life. We have them in our minds. We have them on our lips. We even carry them in our pockets. Meaning this is who I think I am. This is who I tell others I am. And I can prove it. Here's my passport, my driver's license, etc. Now, we accept this, and so does everyone else. But is this our true identity? And upon close examination, we discovered this is only a compilation of many labels. And the labeling process begins at birth. So all of us here right now, as soon as we took birth, we received one of two labels, male or female. And we still identify like that today. I'm a man or I'm a woman. At the same time, we get another label according to our race. Caucasian, Negroid, whatever it may be. Our national identity can be very strong. I'm Canadian. I'm American. I'm British. See? And our family identity, we belong to this family. Now, this identity is so strong that every day on this planet, one person kills another person just because they have a different label. And that's just the beginning. Many, many labels come and go throughout our entire life. So, once again at birth, we're also known as babies, then kids. We start school, now we're students. A few more years go by and we become infamous teenagers. And then finally adults. We take up some profession in life and we're known accordingly. Doctors, lawyers, secretaries, nurses. Then we get married. Immediately we're a husband or a wife. We have a child. Now we're parents, fathers, mothers. A few more years roll by, grandfathers, grandmothers. And this is how we see ourselves. You see, when we think of ourselves, this is me. This is who I am. And this continues on and on until we finally get the last label. Dead. But looking closely, we see this is all in relation to our material bodies. Yes, it's true, the body is male or female, black or white, old or young, big or little, whatever the body is, it is. Yes, that's true. The question is this who we are? Every day we all take our pilgrimage to the mirror to see how we look. Sometimes we're a little disappointed, but we always come back the next day. Gee, maybe there's been some improvement. But do we really see ourselves? So the question is, am I this material body? If we want the most authoritative answer, we should go to the revealed scriptures of the world. And there we quickly find, no, you're not the material body. However, this is the modern age, and very rare does anyone go to scripture to find the truth in life. However, we do readily accept the conclusion of the scientist. You see, we like the scientists because they prove things. And uniquely enough, in this case, the scientists have proven in their laboratories that we're not our material bodies. They have discovered there's no cell in the human body that lives more than 5 years. And some cells have a very short life. For instance, the lining of our stomach, those cells live 5 days. Our skin cells, 1 month. Liver cells, 6 weeks, etc. But in 5 years, everything has changed. So if I'm looking at a photograph of myself taken 10 years ago, the eyes in the photograph are different than the eyes I'm looking at the photograph with. They're not the same eyes. According to this scientific formula, if I'm 35 years old, I've had 7 bodies. But we all know we're not 7 different people. Everybody knows I'm still me. So the changing factor is the material body. And the constant factor is ourself. Yes, we're not these material bodies. Now, at this point, some people become introspective or meditative. They begin to look inside to find out who they really are. And when we do look inside, what do we find? Well, there's emotion, desire, sentiment, feeling, will. These are all very real. So it's easy to conclude, aha, this is who I really am. Maybe we even have some experience that reinforces this. Let's say that we're very emotionally upset. And we recognize when people look at us, they don't see us. All they see is the outside cover. We might feel very lonely. Sometimes we even say, gee, nobody really knows me. But we must confirm this with Scripture, especially the Vedic Scriptures, because they're very detailed in this knowledge. And when we do, we find we've made another mistake. This is not who we are either. This is actually another material body. It's called the subtle mental body. Sometimes it's referred to as the astral body. I know some of you have heard of the astral body. So really, we have 2 bodies. We've got our physical body and our mental body. Exactly like having 2 layers of clothing, an outer layer and an underlayer. But the question still remains, who am I? So once again, we go to the Vedas, and there we find that we are in a different category of energy. Everything is energy. Our bodies are material energy. However, we learn that we are spiritual energy. We further learn we're a tiny little spark of spiritual energy. We learn that material energy is temporary. Now that's really easy to see. We all know too well our bodies are very temporary. So much so we don't even want to talk about it. Hey, don't talk about that stuff now. See? But even the more permanent things like this building, come back here in 1,000 years. Gee, where was that lecture again? Temporary. However, we learned that spirit is eternal. Eternal means no beginning and no end. Therefore, we are eternal. We also learned that material energy is non-living. And again, that's easy to see. This table or this microphone, there's no life. But we learned that spirit is life itself. There is no such thing as live matter. There is no such thing as dead spirit. So, we are the life force in the body. And as long as I'm present in the body is called alive. But actually it's not true. The body is dead. We are alive. And that becomes very obvious at the time of death. At the time of death, we leave the body. And at that moment, the body reveals its true nature. It can't even sit in a chair. It falls on the floor. See? So we are the life force in the body. Therefore, our true identity is spirit soul. Spirit meaning that we're spiritual in essence. Soul meaning this individual spiritual spark that we eternally are. We never become someone else. And we never cease to exist. Now for some people, this is very depressing news. What? I'll always be me? Gee, I thought it was going to be over soon. Sorry. It's never over. However, when we learn the truth in life, this becomes very wonderful news. So once again, we are spirit soul. And we further learn that we're a part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. There is a Supreme Soul from which we all come. We are known as the Atma, and the Supreme Soul is the Paramatma. Now, understanding this, we can begin to discuss and hopefully understand reincarnation. The concept of reincarnation is a very simple one. In fact, the word itself is explanatory. The root of the word is carnal. Carnal means flesh and blood, or material body. So, incarnation means in a material body. Reincarnation means to re-enter a material body. Right now, we are all present in our current bodies. And this period of time, from the time we enter the body till we leave the body, is described as being our life. If we're in our bodies a short period of time, we had a very short life. If we're in our bodies for a long time, we had a very long life. You see. And according to the theory of reincarnation, before we entered this body, we were in a previous body and lived a previous life. And then there was one prior to that and one before that, etc. And according to the theory, when we leave this body, we will enter into another body and have a future life. And then one after that, etc., etc. This is known as the cycle of birth and death, also known as the wheel of birth and death, samskara in the Sanskrit language. So here we are on the wheel of birth and death, going from one body to the next, one lifetime to the next. Now, of course, some people don't accept this. They say, no, it's not true. And one of their main arguments is, you can't prove it. I was in Ireland one time in a small village speaking with an elderly gentleman. And he said, what are you doing in Ireland? I said, I came here to give some lectures on meditation, reincarnation. He said, why don't you talk about something somebody knows something about? I said, well, some people do know about these things. No, nobody knows. He says, I'll tell you. In this village, there was a young man named Patrick. See? And he had a good friend named Ryan. They grew up together. They did everything together. Sports together, went to school together, went out together, everything. See? But at a very early age, 24 years old, Patrick got a terminal disease. And one day he called Ryan in and he said, Ryan, I'm going to be leaving soon. And I promise, if there's something else out there, that I'll come back and tell you. And the old man said, and you know what? He never came back. So you see, I go, what can you do, you know? But actually, if the old man or anybody could see what they can observe, they could see reincarnation taking place right before their eyes. Number one, as we said, every 5 years we have a new body. We go from the baby body to the boyhood body to the youth body to the adult body to the old age body. See? It says in the great Vedic scripture, Bhagavad Gita, as the soul continually passes in this lifetime from boyhood to youth to old age, in the same way the soul passes into another body at the time of death. Self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Take out your photo album, you see, and here's grandma. Boy, this is a picture of grandma when she was very young. You don't even know who it is. Wow. And then you look, oh, here she is as a young lady, and she's getting married, and then here she is as a grandma. Oh, I know her. You see, body changes so much. Same person, we know that. In nature, easy to observe. See, we all know in nature there's a little critter called a caterpillar. Everybody's seen caterpillars. See, little worm bodies. See, have some nice colors. But because of that body, basically we leave them alone. Not too many people have pet caterpillars. You see. We all know that at one point this caterpillar will spin a cocoon around itself and disappear from our view. And then later, out of this cocoon comes a beautiful butterfly. Now, everybody likes butterflies. Symbol of spring, symbol of summer, symbol of freedom. We have magnets on our refrigerators. Microsoft used to have one flying across your computer screen. You see. Now, nobody likes caterpillars, but everybody likes butterflies. But we all know it's the same life. Nobody thinks that in the middle of the night, the caterpillar secretly left the cocoon, the butterfly secretly entered in, and the next day came out to fool us. See? Everybody knows. It's the same life, completely different body. Frogs the same. Go down to the marshy areas early spring. And here's all these jelly masses of eggs. Come back in a few weeks. And here's all these little fat guys swimming around, in the pool, you see. Come back in a few more weeks, and here's all these little frogs. And you go, where's the tadpoles? See, here they are. No, that's a frog. Where's the tadpole? We don't do that because we know the tadpole is the frog. Completely different body, same life. Reincarnation. Going from one body to the next. And it's the only philosophy that makes sense. Remember who we are? Eternal spirit souls. Eternal. We don't die. See? So now, here we are in our bodies, our apartments. Think of it like this. Say you live in an apartment. One day you receive a notice in the mail that in 1 month they're going to come and tear your building down. 1 month the demolition team arrives, destroys the building completely. But do you cease to exist? Of course not. You just move out of that apartment, move into another apartment, and life goes on. So in the same way, when the demolition team comes for this body, in the form of an accident or disease or old age or however it comes, and destroys this building, do you cease to exist? No. You just move out of this apartment, move into another apartment, and life goes on. You see? Now, if you've been following this, then maybe a few questions begin to appear. You may ask, well, all right, how does it all work? You see, who decides what body I get? I mean, there's so many bodies, right? In the Vedas, it describes there's 8,400,000 different species of life. See, so many bodies. Who knows or who decides what body I get? Is it like accidental, I just wind up in a body? Or is it like the lottery, I win a certain body? Is it random? Is there some higher authority up there deciding, okay, this lifetime, you will be a bird, you'll be a fish, you'll be a dog, you'll be a human. Is there anything I can do about it? Do I have any control over this situation? Fortunately enough, there's answers to all these questions. There are 3 main factors that control reincarnation. The 3 main factors are material desire, material attachment, and karma. So we're going to look at each one individually and see what part it plays. Now, before we begin that, I would like to explain that the soul has certain inherent characteristics by nature. They're always present. Just like water has the inherent characteristic of wetness. See, here there's a bottle of water. And I know this water is wet. Why? Because all water is wet. Whether it comes from the tap, from the sky, from my eyes, wherever. Water by nature is wet, inherently so. So in the same way, the soul has many inherent characteristics. As you cannot separate wetness from water, you cannot separate these characteristics from the soul. So, one of those characteristics is desire. We all have our desires, so many desires. And in our material consciousness, in the material world, our desires are material. Ongoingly so. If I gave everybody here a piece of paper and I said, can you write down all your desires? Somebody very quickly would say, you got any more paper? We have so many. And you get rid of one and another one comes, two more comes, five. See, you never catch up. So, our desires control our destiny, so to speak. We do what we do because of our desire. They carry us through our life. See, we're always pursuing our desires, and along the way to fulfill one desire, other desires appear. We're all here right now. Why? Because you had a desire to hear about reincarnation, and that desire brought you right here. But there's many other people who are not here because they had another desire. To go to the restaurant, to go to the bar, to go to take a walk, to stay home, whatever. So their desires has placed them where they are. And as I say, as we pursue one desire, other desires appear. Example, there's a young man sitting in his apartment, 6 o'clock in the evening, and he gets a little hungry. Time to eat. But no problem, there's a lot of food in the apartment. But at that time, he gets a strong message from his mind and from his tongue, I don't want this food. I want a pizza. Being very subservient to the demands of the mind and the tongue, immediately gets up and begins to walk to the restaurant. And along the way, he's doing a little innocent window shopping. Now, there's no such thing as innocent window shopping. That's why they put the good stuff in the window. So he passes this one jewelry shop and he sees a very nice display of watches. And he's one of those guys that always looks at watches. So he stops and he's looking, and immediately one watch catches his eye. He likes the way it looks, he likes the features. And out of nowhere comes this desire, I want that watch. But it's late, the shop is closed, it's an expensive watch, he doesn't have the money. So he continues down to the restaurant, goes inside, sits down, orders his pizza, and thinks about the watch. How can I get that watch? I know my friend owes me money, I'm going to collect that money. This watch is not so bad. I'll sell it on the internet. You know how we do it, arrange our finances. And about this time, a very beautiful young lady comes and sits at the table right next to his. She's alone. He's alone. And immediately he gets a new desire. I want to meet this young lady. See? And then he begins to think, gee, what's the best approach? About that time, the pizza comes. Oh, yeah, pizza. I forgot about the pizza. So to make a long story short, he invites her to join him for dinner and she accepts and have a magnificent evening. So many things to talk about. So easy to talk to each other. So much in common. As if they knew each other before. And by the end of the evening, they've changed contacts and they've arranged to meet again next week. So, as he leaves the restaurant, he satisfied his desire for a pizza, but now he has a desire for the watch and to meet this young lady. Next week, they meet as planned in another fabulous evening. After a few such meetings, he has a new desire. I want to marry this lady. So they get married. Then he has a desire for a house, he gets the house. Then he has a desire for a better car, he gets the car. Then he has a desire for kids, he gets the kids. Then he has a desire for the kids to grow up like this and to grow up like that, to go to this university and that university. etc. And it all started with a pizza. And that's life. So we go through our whole life in this way, and we come to the end of our life with our desires. And these desires take us into our next life. You see, when we leave the body at the time of death, the only thing we leave behind is the gross physical body. And that's the one they bury or burn or whatever they do with it, you see. But we're still covered by our subtle mental body. And the mental body is the body of desire. And according to our desires, that body has a certain shape. And according to the shape of the mental body, we will get a physical body to fit that shape. Just like our hand has a certain shape. And a glove is designed to fit the shape of the hand. So in the same way, the physical body is designed to fit the shape of the mental body. Another example, the sport of hang gliding. I'm sure everybody knows about hang gliding. See, now they do more parapenting or parasailing. Same idea. You climb to a high place, strap a mechanical wing on your back, jump off and hope for the best. And if it works, it's great. See, amazing views, so free, see, riding the air currents, you know. And from that moment, you never look at a bird the same way again. You're always looking at birds, how they take off, how they land, how they ride the air currents. And of course, you realize quickly, they do this much better than I do. You see. And you know that you have something always that they never have, and that's fear. You see. Because in the back of your mind, if not in the front of your mind, you know, if something goes wrong, I got a big problem. But you know, birds aren't thinking like that. How many birds you ever see crash? I mean, these guys. See? So, sometimes these guys get so attached that they even start talking about what bird they like to be. Of course, they all want to be eagles. Nobody says, yeah, I'd like to be a crow. You know. So, no problem. They come to the end of their life. This is their desire. They take birth. Next time, they peck their way out of a shell. Their bodies are covered with feathers, and they fly their whole life. As man proposes, God disposes. We get what we want. Material desire keeps us on the wheel of birth and death. Second factor, material attachment. Also, it is the nature of the soul to be attached. That's why we get attached so easily. We're always getting attached to something. You know, you just go out for a walk one morning. This little dog comes out of nowhere. He's so friendly. He rubs up against your leg. He walks along with you, runs ahead, comes back, looks you in the face. And by the end of the walk, you're attached to this guy. I want to take him home, but you know, I can't take him home. Got no place in my life for this guy. See, attachment so quick. And of course, there's different attachments. There's attachment to things, and then there's personal attachments. You know, you can be attached to houses, cars, money, positions, so on. And then there's the personal attachments. See, and these attachments are like ropes. They bind us to the wheel of birth and death. They're like anchors. They hold us down in the material world. So, we know that these attachments to objects and things, they can be very strong. But we know the really strong ones are the personal attachments. For instance, say you have a new car. You really like this car. You're attached. One day you come out from work and you discover somebody's stolen your car. And because of the attachment, immediately you're angry, you're frustrated. My car, you see. But hey, it's just a car. You can buy another one. You got insurance, they'll even pay for it. But if you go home that night and you find that somebody stole your wife, now that's another whole thing. But of course somebody might say, oh, thank you very much. I know one old man like that, he says, you know, I've been waiting 55 years for somebody to run off with my wife. And they never have. And actually they never did. He died first. Personal attachments, real strong. A young soldier is going into a very dangerous battle. He knows he might not come back. The last thing he does, he takes the picture of his girlfriend out of his pocket, looks at it one last time, feels this strong attachment, goes to battle and gets killed. Just keeps him on the wheel of birth and death. Material attachment. Factor number 2. And the third factor is karma. Now, probably everybody in this room has heard of karma, but I remember when I first heard about it, it was like, what is that? You see, but actually, it's been around forever. It's one of the laws of material nature. It's described in different ways. What goes around comes around. Everything you do is going to come back on you. The law of cause and effect, etc., etc. But it's the law of karma. In the material world, there are laws of material nature that govern us. Whether we know about them, we don't know about them, they still govern us. Ignorance is no excuse. See, we're controlled by these laws. And one of the strong laws that is so much a part of our life is the law of karma. The word karma means action. Now, so you could say the law of karma is the law of action. Again, inherently, the soul is active by nature. Wherever you find the soul, wherever you find that little spiritual spark, you're going to find activity. Even in things that seem like they don't even move. Like a tree. You say, well, the trees don't move except when the wind blows. They just stand there. You see. But of course we don't. We know from my biology class and botany class, there's so much activity in a tree. Nutrition is drawn from the ground. Sap is rising. Photosynthesis takes place at the leaves, etc., etc. Why? Because there's a person inside. There's a spirit soul within the tree body. Dead trees don't do any of those things. See? So, we, the spirit soul, are active by nature. And according to the law of karma, if the activity that we perform affects the life of another living entity, and notice here I'm saying living entity, I'm not saying just humans. Any life form, plants, animals, whatever. If my activity affects the life of another living entity in a negative way, I cause them some pain, suffering, hardship, death, I'm responsible for that. And so in the future, coming back to me will be pain, suffering, hardship, death. See? As you sow, so shall you reap. See? What you do comes back on you. So a bad action results in a bad result, in punishment. This is known as bad karma. However, if the activity I perform affects the life of another living entity in a positive way, somehow I make their material life a little better. I feed a hungry person. I take care of a sick dog. I help an elderly person across the street. I do charity work. I do volunteer work. All these kinds of things. See, I'll be rewarded for that. In the future, good things will come back to me. This is called good karma. Good action, good results, good karma. And so we're going through our whole life creating karma. Either good karma or bad karma. We come to the end of our life and we have our karmic picture. And that goes with us into our next life. That is why when we take birth, it's already decided so many things that are going to happen in our life. You see, out of nowhere something comes. It didn't come out of nowhere. We already created that previously. And we're just getting the fruit now. There's 3 categories of karma. There's karma that's lying as seed. The action has been performed. The karmic reaction has been decided. But it's in seed form. It hasn't borne any fruit yet. Then there's the karma that is almost mature. It's going to come into our life, obviously, very soon. Could be today, tomorrow, next week, next month. Soon, I'm going to experience that result. And then there's the karma that I'm reaping right now. It's already taking place. You see? This is karma. So if I have any karma when I leave my body at the time of death, I will have to take another birth in another material body to get the result. Even if it's all good. I still have to take a body, to get my rewards. You see? So even good karma keeps us on the wheel of birth and death. See? So if you look at it in the pure spiritual viewpoint of understanding, good karma is bad too. Most people think good karma is great, and they're not worried about, oh, I got too much good karma. Would be worried about the bad karma, if they're worried at all, and most people aren't. See? Very few people even consider the consequences of their activity. But it takes place. See, we don't change things. We don't control things. We aren't the lawmaker. We don't change the laws. We're subject to the law. See, so good to know these things. Law of karma, very important. We learned that in our Bhakti Yoga philosophy. We are very familiar with this. We think about this. See, we understand it very clearly. So these three factors, as long as they're present in our life, mean that we will remain on the wheel of birth and death, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Now, there are many incorrect theories that are circulating about reincarnation. Of course, one of those is, it's not true. See, there's no such thing. It doesn't happen. Well, we don't accept that. No. It's not correct. See, it does happen. Then, there's the other idea. Yes, reincarnation is true, but only for a certain number of lifetimes. And I've heard many numbers. I've heard 15, 25, 100. Recently I heard 108. The idea being, after 25 lifetimes on the wheel of birth and death, it's over. You get off. But if you've been following our discourse, thinking about it as we've described it, after 25 lifetimes, you still got material desires, material attachments, and karma. What's going to get you off the wheel? So that's not true. Completely wrong. You see. Another idea is, oh yes, it's true, but only among humans. You always take birth as another human. Again, absolutely false. See, remember the hang glider? Took birth as a bird. See. Surfers, many surfers, take birth as dolphins. See, they realize, wow, these guys are good. They don't get cold. They don't have to go in when it gets dark. They get the best waves. It's not too crowded. I know I was a surfer for a long time. And yeah, you guys have got it going, you know. But we get another birth according to our desire and our attachments and karma. See, all that. Could be a lower birth, could be a higher birth. So that is not true. In fact, most people do not even think that animals have souls. I asked a representative of a worldwide religious organization one time. We were having a discussion. And I asked him this question: do you think animals have souls? And it's like he'd never even thought about it. So he stopped, he paused, he went, He didn't put his finger up, but he might as well have. You know. And he said, no, I don't think so. Well, you can ask this same person. You have a dog? Yes, I have a dog. Do you like your dog? I love my dog. I see. When your dog is sick, what do? I take him to the veterinarian. Does it cost money? It costs a lot of money. When your dog is lost, what do? I put posters all over town. Lost dog, reward. You see. So here this guy is. His dog just got run over in the street. And he's sitting there looking at his dog and he's crying. And you come up and say, what's the matter? My dog, he's gone. What do you mean he's gone? There he is right there. No, he's gone. Come on, there he is. He's a little rearranged, but I mean, what? You know? No, he knows the one I loved, the one that was so dear to me, is gone. All that is the body. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you all along. You see, of course, the person in that body that you loved is gone, and the body is here. You see. Animals have souls. Wherever there's life, there is a person. We, you, I, all of us have been in dog bodies, cat bodies, worm bodies, all the bodies. You see. In the Vedic literature, it says we have been through all these bodies. You see. Gee, I don't like that idea. Somebody recently told me, I don't want to be a bird or a dog. Okay, then don't act like that. You see, you act like a dog, you're going to be a dog. You know, it's the way it works. You can't change the system. We're always trying to avoid the system, denying the system, you see, or trying to change the system. You cannot. It's already designed by the Supreme Lord. You don't change anything. See? So that's why education is so valuable. We need to learn the truth. And it's rare that anyone will learn the truth. It's rare you can even find the truth to learn. So then the question may come up, okay, is reincarnation good or is reincarnation bad? Some people will say it's bad, some people will say it's good. You see. Talk to one person. Oh, reincarnation. He just heard about it. Reincarnation. Great. Wonderful. See. I get to come back and do all this again. Great. This is somebody that's experiencing the result of their good karma. Life is good. Having a good time. See. Talk to somebody who's experiencing the result of their bad karma. You'll get a different answer. You see. There was one boy, he read a book, Reincarnation Explained. Wonderful book. See. He read the book, it was so clear, it was so enlivening that he took it home and he gave it to his mom. Mom, look, I want you to read this book. She looked at the cover, Reincarnation Explained. She said, oh no, I'm not reading that book. If it's true, I don't want to know about it. But what kind of approach is that? See, we call it the ostrich approach. See, the ostrich, here comes the danger, sticks his head in the sand. There's no problem, everything's cool. No problem. We don't consider the ostrich the most intelligent bird. You see, if it is true, we should want to know about it. You see, and again, it is true. So, why is it not good? Whether we like it or don't like it, it's not good for the spirit soul. Remember who we are, spirit soul. It is not good for the soul. Why? Because we don't belong here. This world is not our home. See? We, the spirit soul, belong in the spiritual world. It even sounds right. Spirit soul in the spiritual world. Yeah, that sounds right. Spirit soul in the material world. Doesn't sound right. It's like oil and water. You can put the two together, but they never mix. You see, we are all aliens. You see, in America, I don't know how about you in Canada, but in America, there's a lot of interest in aliens among some people. So you can go to Nevada right now, Site 51. It's a big alien watching country. You see, and the government has a compound there, and they say, oh, they got aliens in there, and you know, all this stuff. You know, they're out there looking in the sky every night. You know, you go out there and say, hey, man, you want to see an alien? Yeah, show me one. Okay, go look in the mirror. You see, we're all aliens. We're not from here. We don't belong here. That's why it oftentimes feels wrong. Something's wrong here. You know, we never can be comfortable here. We're trying really hard, but we cannot be comfortable here because we don't belong here. We're like the fish out of water. A fish is an aquatic. That's his natural environment. The moment you remove that fish from the water, he starts to suffer. And there's nothing you can do about that. Here's the fish, he's flopping. See, Mr. Fisherman, he just flicked him over there, watched him flop, no problem, catching them. You got a whole bunch of floppers here. Having a good day, but the fish is not having a good day. So you go up to the fish, you feel a little sorry, a little compassion. Hey, Mr. Fish, you look like you got a little problem, you know. You know, I want to help you. I want to make you happy. Let's go to the movies. Jaws is playing. You'll like it. I know, I got an idea. Let's go to the restaurant. Nice seafood restaurant right around the corner. How about going shopping? Shopping makes everybody feel better. I got a lot of room on my card. How about the ladies? Man, I know a lot of ladies. Nothing you can do. Can't help this guy. Except put him back in the water. The moment you put him back in the water, everything is good. Suffering over. He's home. So we are like that fish, but we don't even know that. Everybody's like that, but everybody else is too. We're all going, everybody says, yeah, man. Let's have another drink. Yeah, man. You think it's asthma? It's not asthma, man. It's But there is a solution. There is a solution. Go back to the spiritual world. Get off the wheel of birth and death. That's the message that every purveyor of the truth has brought to us. Get off the wheel. Return home, back to your spiritual roots, back to the spiritual realm, where you can be truly happy, truly satisfied. See? All right, so you say you accept all this stuff. You agree. All right, now here we are. I want to go back. How do you do it? You just say, okay, I want to go back, and you go back. No, it doesn't work like that. You see, it's not easy, I can tell you. And to do it, to solve the problem, you must take a different approach to problem solving. You see, in our current lives, if we have a problem, what do? We sit down and think about it. Oh, I'm thinking about my problem, see. And if you can't solve your problem, you call your friend. Hey, can you help me think about my problem? They go, yeah, can you help me think about mine? You know. And if you really want professional help, you go to a psychiatrist. Can you help me think about my problem? Oh, yes, lay right down here. Put your wallet right up here. And he looks in your wallet. Uh-huh. Tell me all your problems. See? Doesn't work. There's a young guy, he's heard about all this. He's heard about karma. He's heard about all these kinds of things. And he's thinking about his life as it is today. See? Especially the karma part. That really caught his attention, you see. So he's thinking about his life and he goes, gee, man, I got to change a lot of things. I'm creating so much bad karma. You know? And he even realizes, correctly so, that his eating is causing him a lot of karma. You see? But he's confused. Well, what am I going to do? I got to eat. See? So he begins to think. And he comes up with a brilliant conclusion. I know, I'm going to become a vegetarian. You see? I'm not going to kill those cows and pigs and chickens and things anymore, because when they're killed, they suffer. I eat their bodies. I'm responsible for that. I'm involved in that whole thing. I get that karma. No way. I'm going to be a vegetarian. See? And we say, very good. Excellent conclusion. You will greatly reduce your karma. But it's not good enough. Because even though you are a vegetarian, you still have to kill the vegetables. You still got to kill the carrot. You got to cut the head off the cabbage. You guys going, oh man, what am I going to do now? Bah. I know I'm going to become a fruitarian, because you don't have to kill the tree. You know. About this time, he's getting very hungry. See all this thinking, I'm hungry. And there's an apple tree right there with a big apple on it. And he starts to pick that apple. And then he goes, no, I'm not going to pick that apple. I might hurt the tree. I'm going to let that apple fall on the ground. Then I'll eat that. So he waits and he waits. Waits. Finally the apple falls. He rushes over, picks up the apple and quickly eats it. Ah, no karma. But what about all those people he stepped on as he went over to pick up that apple? What about all those people living on the apple? What about that lone guy living in the apple? You can't avoid karma like this, you see. There's only one way. You see, in India, there's a sect known as the Jains. Maybe some of you have heard of these people. And their goal in life is to go through life without creating any bad karma. So they wear all white clothes, so if a little bug gets on them, they can gently take it off. They sweep the path in front of them as they walk so they don't step on anybody. They wear a mask so they don't breathe anybody in. They don't even light fire, because you know there's living entities living in fire. When you put the fire out, they suffer. See? I saw a documentary one time on them. And it showed inside their house, and the house was full of rats. There was a rat sitting on one of the guy's heads. Can't hurt the rats. See? But this doesn't work. You can't avoid karma like this. There's only one way only. And this is to accept the instructions of the higher authority and follow those instructions. We know that we, as the individuals we are, have a will. And we have a free will. We are given a free will eternally that will never be taken away. And so in our material lives, our will is the center of our life. Everything I do revolves around my will. My whole universe, see, is about that. See, I am the center of my universe. My will be done. And we go to great length to achieve this. But of course we fail many times. But the Supreme Person, the Supreme Lord, has a will also. We are parts and parcels of the Supreme Person. All the qualities that the Supreme Lord has, we also have. So we are the same quality-wise, but we are very different quantity-wise. We are minute, but we still have those little qualities. Right? So the Supreme Will is always done. My will is not. As long as I act independent of the Supreme Will, I do what I want to do, independent of the Supreme, I'm responsible for my actions. But if I connect my will with the Supreme Will, I do what I do because it is the Supreme Will's that I do it, there's no karma for that activity. Completely karma free. And not only that, but all previous karma that I have incurred from lifetimes is removed. You see? An example that illustrates this. There's a military pilot who flies his warplane over the, quote, enemy, and he drops his bombs. And those bombs cause so much pain, suffering, hardship, and death to so many people. Yet, when he returns to the air base, nobody's waiting for him with handcuffs. In fact, if he did a good job, he's congratulated. See? But if that same pilot goes into town that night, gets in a fight, and kills one person, there is somebody waiting with handcuffs. Immediately he's taken to jail and charged with murder. Now what's the difference? Here he killed many people. Here he killed one. Here he's congratulated. Here he's incarcerated. The difference is, in the first case, he was acting under the sanction of a higher authority. He was not acting independently. Second case, he is acting independently. Therefore, he's fully responsible for his actions. You see? So that's exactly the way it is. If I'm acting independently, I'm responsible for my action, and that's the law of karma. But if I connect with the will of the Supreme Lord, no responsibility, no karma. So, from the time I began to do this, see, I start to live my life in this way. This is called a life of devotional service. It's known as bhakti. In the Vedic knowledge system, it's bhakti yoga. See, from the time I begin to live like this, I create no new karma, and all previous karma is removed. So I come to the end of my life, I have no karma. So what? I don't have to take another birth. I'm free of that. No karma, no rewards, no punishments, no need for another material body. Great. 1/3 of the problem solved. But what? We still have 2 more, right? Material attachment and material desires. And our attachments, I mean, what are we going to do about that, you know? So attached to so many things, right? It all works simultaneously. You see, as I begin to live this life of bhakti yoga, all of these problems are solved simultaneously. Let's look at it like this. There's a young secretary. She graduates from university. She gets her first job. And she knows she's not a good secretary. She knows she's not good at all. But she needs this job. See, it's her survival. It's for her food, her rent, and everything. I mean, so she's very nervous that she'll lose the job. She'll get fired. The boss comes into her little office. Oh, she's like this, you see. She's sitting there thinking, gee, I hope he doesn't come in. See? She hears he's going away on a business trip. Great, I hope he stays a long time. You see. Like that. It's all about her, what she wants, what she needs, you see. But gradually over time, as the association goes on, things change. The relationship changes. And therefore, pretty soon, she's pretty comfortable around the boss. She begins to tell the boss what to do. They go on a few business lunches together. Things change again. They go on a few business trips together. And you know the story. They get attracted, they get attached, they fall in love. Happens all the time. Wasn't supposed to, but it did. See, wife's worst nightmare. You know. So, when we associate with the Supreme Lord through this bhakti or this devotional life, this devotional activity, which it does bring us in contact, gradually a relationship begins to develop. The relationship is already there, but we've forgotten it. See, it's remote. See, it's an estranged relationship. But as we activate it, then that relationship begins to blossom, to unfold. And as this takes place, our whole relationship and understanding and the way we live and the way we act changes. The secretary, when this attachment for the boss takes place, she's not attached to the job, she's attached to the boss, the whole thing changes, you see. Now, he's in the center. She's going around him. What can I do for him? How can I help him? You see. Oh, I hope he takes me with him when he goes away. How come he doesn't come in the office? Man, it's been 10 minutes. Where is he? You know, what's he doing? Kind of thing. Completely different. Opposite. She had no idea it could ever be like that. It's like that. You see. So again, our relationship with the Supreme evolves, and we move out of the center, and the Supreme Lord moves in the center, and we're very concerned. What can I do? Our attachment for all our material things, see, which were so important, begins to diminish. And our attachment to the Supreme and His will, His desire, His world increases until gradually in the perfected stage, I have no material attachment, but absolute spiritual attachment, very strong. This is perfect. Some people say, oh, you must advance to a point where you have no attachment. You can't. There's no such thing. Because the soul is attached by nature. So they paint this picture of the yogi. See, I'm not attached to anything. No, I have no attachment. See, he's attached to his non-attachment. See, he's got his little cave in the Himalayas, you see. I'm not attached to anything, see. I just live in this cave. Well, when he goes out to take a leak, you move into his cave. And when he comes back, see what he says. Hey, man, this is my cave. What are you doing? I've been here 150 years. You know, I thought you weren't attached, you know. You can't be non-attached. It's all illusion. So many things we hear are just illusion. But you can be free of material attachment. And that's the problem. That's what keeps us on the wheel of birth and death. Spiritual attachment takes us off the wheel of birth and death. You see, it's perfect. That's what you want. No karma and full spiritual attachment. See, that is the perfection of the soul. Now, what about material desires? Again, they're so prominent, so obviously controlling us in so many ways. What am I going to do about that? The same thing. They just take care of themselves. You see. The secretary, again, her desire was, I hope he doesn't come in the office. I hope he stays away a long time. I hope I don't get fired and blah, blah, blah. But after this relationship has evolved to a point of strong attachment and love, her desires are absolutely on him. What should I wear today? What lipstick? What perfume? What dress? You see, what can I buy for him? What little present? Oh, can I help you after work? Don't worry about paying me overtime. I'm glad to do it. You know, etc., etc. Now, her desire is to please him, not herself. See? Complete reversal of consciousness. And it's exactly like that with the Supreme. Our desires are now, what can I do for you? Not what can I do for me? Or what are you going to do for me? You see, that's the next point. If people relate to the Supreme at all, it's all in a relationship. What will you do for me? Will you give me good health? Will you give me a good partner? Will you give me a good family? Will you give me money? Will you give me, make me happy kind of thing? It's about me. God's the servant. I'm the master. You see, we got it backwards. We're the servant. He's the master. So when you evolve to a true spiritual relationship, it's exactly perfect. I come back to my original constitutional eternal position, the loving servant of God. When I leave my body, all this is why we're still in the body, by the way. We haven't died yet. See, we're still here. So when it comes time for me to leave this body, I'm perfectly situated to do so. I have no karma, no material attachment, but strong spiritual attachment. No material desire, but strong spiritual desire. I'm in love. And therefore that love, that desire, that attachment takes me back to the spiritual world in an eternal loving relationship of perfect enjoyment, happiness. It's called Ananda, spiritual bliss. This is the perfection of the soul. And this is an eternal situation. No matter what I achieve in this lifetime, how happy I am, because I've arranged things through my karma from the past, etc., that everything is as I want it, I leave it. It's over. Finished. I got to go. And there's the anxiety. I don't want to go. It's not time yet. It's time. Can't stay. Time's up. The Cinderella idea. You see? The pumpkin. Back to the pumpkin life. So we have to know what is what in our life. So reincarnation is a reality. All these things that keep me on the wheel are a reality, and they're very, very prominent in our lives. But there is a solution, you see. It's so depressing if there's no solution, and that's the case most of us are in. I know something's wrong, but I don't know what to do about it. I've tried this and this and this and this. I've gone to this guy and that guy and da-da-da-da-da. Changed my situation many, many times over, and it's still the same. Nothing changed. And I go to my next life, and it's still the same again. There is a solution. But we have to hear the solution, understand it's true, apply it to our life, and then we experience that. You see? And it's not just when I leave my body that I begin to experience the fruit. Actually, long before. Long, long before. You see? Things start really coming right. The light comes on. The darkness begins to fade, like when the sun begins to rise. A long time before the sun comes above the horizon, the darkness begins to go away. So that's the way it is. When the sun of love for God comes above the horizon, see, long before that, the dawn has appeared in my life. And wow, it's just like waking up. You see, that's the technique. That's the process. So, I will never not be who I am. I am the eternal spirit soul. I can't change that. The laws of nature are what they are. I can't change that. The Supreme Lord is who He is. I can't change that. My relationship with Him is what I can't. See, all these things are unchangeable. All I can do is develop the understanding and the consciousness. Apply these truths to my life. See? And that's what is the message. See? Every great teacher that came said exactly the same thing. There wasn't a different message and a different... It's all the same thing. Maybe according to time, place, circumstance, and audience, it was presented in a slightly different way, but same message. See? So there you have it. Reincarnation. Now, a lot of people are interested in reincarnation from a completely different angle. Who were you in your last life? Or can you help me know who I was in my last life? Or I know who I was in my last life. One time I was in Moscow giving this lecture. And I was told before the lecture began that in the audience would be an authority on reincarnation. And I said, oh, good. Maybe he'll learn something. And sure enough, immediately after the lecture was over, this man came up, introduced himself right away as the authority. And he said to me, do you know who you were in your last life? And I said, sure I do. He said, who were you? I said, I was spirit soul. He said, no, I don't mean that. I know who I was in my last 2 lives. 2 lifetimes ago, I was a great yogi in the Himalayas. And last lifetime, I was a beautiful princess. And I thought to myself, you didn't do too good as a yogi, did you? Sitting in your cave thinking of women. See? It doesn't matter who we were in our last life. Who am I going to be in my next life? The future is this way, not that way. You know, I got so many stories I could tell you guys, but probably time to shut up. But here's one interesting one. A friend of mine, again in Moscow. Not everything happens in Moscow, but a few things. It's not the center of the universe, by the way. So anyway, but some people think it is. A friend of mine was living in Moscow in the mid-1980s, and two guys came to Moscow and did a big advertising campaign that they could take you back into a previous life. And he and his brother were quite interested, and so they went. And so these guys, they could do it. They actually could do it through hypnosis or whatever their technique was. They took my friend back into a previous life when he was a giant insect that was caught and killed by a giant spider. And as he's laying there in this past life, he saw the spider coming, and the spider came over him and injected his proboscis into his body and began to pump poison into his body. And he could feel the poison going into this body. And he became completely paralyzed. He's laying there completely paralyzed. And then this guy who was conducting this saw, something's going on here, so he brought him back. He went again. He took him back into another life where he was a hunter who was attacked and killed by a wolf. He never went back. He said, that's enough. Okay. Finished. And shortly thereafter, he heard about this teaching, and he began to adopt this teaching. You see, and now he's continuing on and following this and actually teaching this himself. You see, so all these curiosity things, it doesn't matter. You see, we want to know the truth about how to get off the wheel, not who was I and who am I going to be kind of thing. What am I going to do to go back home? So, hopefully this has explained a few things. I didn't reincarnate on stage yet. It's not over, of course. But I'd like to tell you two stories about reincarnation, because everybody likes stories. And then we're going to have another meditation to end this part of the evening. And then there's a nice dinner prepared for everybody in the back room, so you can continue there. So the stories are this. It's hundreds and thousands of stories, but one simple one. There was a girl born in India, and she remembered her past life. And so from early childhood, she remembered where she lived, who she was, etc. And she kept asking her parents to take her back to her village, and they thought it was childhood fantasy. But it continued and continued, so finally they agreed, okay. So they took her back to the village, and she remembered everything. And immediately she went to this house, which is the house where she had lived before. And so she said, this is where I lived. And they go up and they knock on the door. Of course, there's other people living there. And they open the door, and they explain, oh, this is my daughter, and this is the house she lived in her past life. Don't try that in Canada. You might have to go to loony bin, but you can do that in India, So they said, okay, sure, no problem, come in, So they go in the house, and she remembered everything in the house, and she took them into one room, and she said, this was my room. But she could tell that there was a little bit of skepticism still there. So she said, okay, look, under the floor right here, I buried money in a box. And she described the box and the amount of money in the box. And she said, let's open the floor, and if it is as I describe, will you believe me? And they said yes. So they opened the floor, and there it was, the exact box with the exact amount of money. And they said, okay, we believe you. Many, many stories. But the story I like the most is a story that happened to two friends of mine. When I was young, I grew up with a girl named Carol. And we were very close friends. We went out together. We did many things together, see. But at one point, we went our separate ways in life. And along the way, I didn't see her for many, many years. And along the way, she got married to a man named Wally. They were professional people. quite well off financially, and so on, but they never had any children. However, they had a dog, and the dog's name was Sergeant. Sergeant was a big Labrador. Everybody knows Labradors? They're water dogs. And Sergeant was like their kid. They also had a vacation home by the sea, and every summer they would go there on vacation. Early in the morning, Wally and Sergeant would get up and take a long walk down the beach. Wally would throw a stick into the ocean. Sergeant would dive in, swim out, grab the stick, come back, drop it at Wally's feet, shake his body, throw water all over Wally, and they'd continue. He'd throw another stick and another swim and another shake and so on like this. Until finally they reached a certain point. Then they'd turn around and they'd go back. This went on for years. But as is inevitable, Sergeant got old and died. And this was a huge loss, you see. They lost their child, see. So the next time they go down to the sea on vacation, things are different. Wally still gets up early, he takes his walk, but he's feeling very sad. He's missing Sergeant. He gets to the turnaround place and he starts back. And he notices that very close to the beach, there's a school of dolphins that are swimming along at the same speed that he's walking. And this is somewhat unusual, so he stopped and he began to look. And as he's looking, one dolphin broke away from the pack and swam straight to the beach at a high rate of speed and came right up on the sand and stopped at Wally's feet. Wally was shocked. You know, and he said his first thought was, gee, how am I going to get him back in the water? But then that dolphin looked him right in the eyes, and he recognized those eyes. Then the dolphin rolled over on his back, shook his body, threw water on Wally, wiggled back into the ocean, and he's gone. And Wally was like, very emotional. He goes back, walks in the house. He's crying. Carol said, what's wrong with you? He said, I just saw Sergeant. She said, what do you mean you saw Sergeant? And then he told her the story. And she knew he was telling the truth. So when I saw them years later, first she told me the story. Then he came home and he told me the story. Because they knew what I'm into. See? And he was a radiologist. Kind of a scientific kind of guy. And he said, you know, he said, I never believed in any of this stuff before. He said, I believe now. So it's real. Very, very real. You see. So we don't want to take all these truths about life lightly. See, life is serious stuff. And the human form of life that we now have is specifically given to us to solve these problems, to realize this truth. See, to understand what life really is. So our hope is that everyone will take advantage of the human form of life. You see. There's a lot of programs here in your area. There's information on that at the back by the table. I'm sure many of you have seen that. See, ongoing programs. There's retreats available and there's classes and, you know, kirtans, meditations, which we're going to do now, which are also available, information like we've presented tonight, etc. It's all free of charge, see? So you aren't left alone. We have some CDs, 2 CDs back there that are very nice with the mantra meditation, with very nice musical accompaniment. See, a nice way to bring this transcendental sound into your home, into your car, into your life. See, it's all available. See? So, at your discretion, you know, visit the table, talk to the people, etc. If anybody has any questions after, I'll be around. You know, we won't have a lot of time, but maybe I can answer something. So right now, we're going to do our final meditation. We have other mantras on our card. The mantra Gauranga we know, Nitai Gaur. This is a second part of that mantra. Then there's Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, another complete mantra. On the back of the card there's the Maha mantra, The word Maha means great. Mantra means mind deliverer. Mantras have the power to deliver our mind from the material realm to the spiritual realm. And of all mantras, the Maha Mantra is the greatest mantra. It is the mantra recommended for this time period in which we're living right now. It's the mantra for this age. And then at the bottom there is the mantra Hari Bol. All these words in the mantra have meaning. Gauranga means he whose body is more beautiful than molten gold. Nitai means eternal. Gaur means golden. Gopala and Govinda very similar in meaning describing the Supreme Lord. See, the cowherd boy, the protector, the shepherd. See, he who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, the Brahmans, the Supreme Person. Rama, he who gives transcendental pleasure to those who lovingly serve him. Madana Mohana, he who is so attractive that he attracts even Cupid. And then, in the Maha Mantra, 3 words, Hare Krishna and Rama. Hare is addressing the devotional energy of God. Krishna, one of God's many names, which means the all-attractive person. Rama, as I said, meaning the giver of transcendental pleasure. Not material pleasure, transcendental spiritual pleasure. And Hari Bol, what does that mean? Chant the holy names. Chant these mantras. Chant the names of the Supreme Lord. See? So we're going to chant these mantras now. Quickly we're going to go over them to make sure we have our pronunciation correct. I will say them as before. Everyone repeat. Gauranga Nitai Gaur. Everybody.
Gauranga Nitai Gaur.
Gauranga Nitai Gaur.
Gauranga Nitai Gaur.
Gopala.
Gopala.
Govinda.
Govinda.
Rama.
Rama.
Madana Mohana.
Madana
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Madana Mohana.
Madana Mohana.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
All right. Now, this technique of meditation is called Sankirtan, congregational chanting. 2 or more people come together and chant the mantra. It's done in a process called Shravanam Kirtanam. Shravanam, hearing, Kirtanam, chanting. So, I will chant and everyone will listen. Then everyone will chant and I will listen. Like this. Hearing and chanting back and forth. And as with all the meditations, try to relax. Meditate on the sound. You see. Don't worry about the quality of your singing voice. See, some people, I don't sing very good, very shy. See. Everybody can sing. Yeah. And when you're chanting mantras, all voices are beautiful. See. So don't worry. Just relax. Chant the mantras. Listen to the mantras. Get involved in the transcendental sound. Okay? All right. Everybody. Haribol. Thank you very much. You guys sounded great. So you can see this whole process of bhakti yoga, meditation, etc., can be amazingly fun. The nature of the soul is to have fun. Another inherent characteristic. And we're trying really hard. Because we all know that. Everybody knows, I'm supposed to have fun. But we're not always successful, are we? But that fun for the soul is spiritual pleasure, spiritual happiness, spiritual activity, see? Spiritual love. Very simple formula here. Apply the process of bhakti yoga and go home. Thank you very much. Haribol.